And here she is. Invite her to join into the video.
Hello!
Yay! You got on.
We made it.
Awesome. So, Casey just came to my house because she thought that the interview was in person. And I was like, we can do it live and I can request you.
I did not get the memo for some reason, and I was ready to go at the house, but it's okay because I left something there and I got it.
Exactly.
But that is why we're a little bit late. But we live. That's okay. Being late is not a thing.
No, it's not. Time does not exist. All right. So, let's talk about how spirituality has really helped you in your life and how you've just like completely awakened up to this different kind of idea of what spirituality means to you. Um, so let's start with what is your purpose in life and what has your inner compass told you recently?
So I was thinking a lot about that question and how, to me, like purpose doesn't have one specific example or answer. It's kind of an arbitrary thing based on where you are in life and where you are along your path in your journey. And it can manifest in many different forms. But for me, like my overarching purpose is to get to know myself better so that I can show up more authentically in a way that inspires people to become closer with themselves and to live the life that they didn't think that they were allowed to. And I feel like no matter what I do, if I'm doing it from a place of authenticity or of love, I'm living my purpose because that's kind of what I came here to do.
Exactly. I
And
love that.
to answer your other part of like, what is my inner compass? What was the second part again?
What has your inner compass been telling you lately?
Hmm. My inner compass lately has been telling me that it's okay to focus on myself because it is so easy to get distracted and like especially because I love people and I love everyone and I just want to be involved and I want to share with people experiences, but sometimes it's okay to just like go within, not only go within but like do the things that your inner self is really wanting to do, as simple as it sounds. Like if I want to go on a run every day, then like just do it and like make that the priority. And my inner compass has really been just speaking to me a lot about like prioritizing myself because I've noticed times in my life where when I did that, that's when I like kind of leveled up in my awareness and my consciousness. And yeah, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but that really, I feel like we all learned a lot about that when the first initial lockdown hit. And that's kind of where a lot of this stuff started unfolding for me. And where my journey, I feel like, away from the religion I was in kind of began. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow, I didn't know it was so recent. Wow. Okay, so let's get into that. So what changed and influenced your idea of spirituality and kind of what made you tune into what was flowing better for you? Like how did you get there? How did you learn to like kind of look
Hmm.
at the box that you're in?
Yeah, I feel like less about getting there and more about like allowing it to unfold, like I was saying, and unwind. And what's really cool is the way that I grew up. Like, I was just born into that box. Like, I didn't have a choice. And still, there's like something inside that was kind of telling me throughout my life, like, this is wrong. This feels wrong for me. And,
And just explain what was the box you were born into for the listeners.
well, I was born Mormon or a member of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter day Saints, which is another very high demand religion where your whole life is basically centered around being a member of that church. All of my family was involved, my relatives, and everybody in my neighborhood I knew, my best friends. So it was kind of like literally felt like a box, and I didn't know anything else. So I feel like what happened was I had this like inner knowing all along, and it just was like continuing to grow with me and continuing to want to. I almost picture like a ball or like a geode, and how it's like got all these crystals on the inside and it's just like starting to crack open, and there's like this like light in me that's like trying to open through these cracks, and it really kind of all crumbled apart, the little ball bubble thing I was in, when I learned how to meditate and how to do yoga, because I grew up dancing, so I like was familiar with my body, but um, I started tuning into those practices, and it was like I could actually hear that voice that I was trying to keep down, because if I were to listen to that voice, I would know that it was time to break out of that box. And I just find it fascinating how that happened over time, because the older I got and the more in tune with myself I got, the more equipped I was to step out of something that was everything I knew.
Yeah. And it's not even breaking the box. It was just expanding to see more, to understand more, to kind of ask questions, to dive deeper. So, what kind of what did you transfer into following spirituality? Like, what did you look into more, ask more questions about when you were um, at that point?
Well, I just remember like a few years prior to my like more major experiences, I found that book, The Secret, about like manifestation. And I was just like, so much about it really resonated with me. And I was like, okay, so how does this fit into the the teachings of the church I'm in? And I just like couldn't really make sense of it. I remember everything I would learn about spirituality or manifestation, I would try to force into the like almost like guideline or like prompt of the church I was in, and it just like never really fit, and I just didn't understand it. So I kind of just put it on a shelf and ignored it. And then I circled back to it, I think just one night when I was like in my parents' house during lockdown, and I was like, all right, well let's practice then. And I I just remember like being very specific about it. I didn't really fully understand the manifestation how I do now. I just like was like, okay, I'm gonna go on a walk and I'm gonna see this pair of horses and they're gonna look exactly like this, and I'm gonna feel this way about it. And I'm also gonna see some people that I'm kind of familiar with but not really, and they're gonna have a dog with them, and it's gonna be this kind of dog. And like both of the things happened exactly as I pictured them, and it was just like, it sounds like whatever, but I just remember like in that moment I was like, wait, so God is like not separate from me. That's like what really hit me about that. I was like, I could just feel that it was beyond a man, one person.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that experience, along with I started following like Sadhguru's teachings and meditating daily and really connecting with like my spiritual inner self. And like I was saying, that kind of over time built. And I, to answer your question about like what practices like I do, I feel like it's evolved a lot, because I've learned that spirituality can be anything you do as long as you have the intention, and by living in a way that like in a way where you know that you are the one creating everything around you and experiencing everything as somebody working with this like source. I feel like that is just like a spiritual practice, like living for me is now.
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
And what, so like comparing like the two things, like more being a Mormon and spirituality, like I would say the only things that really can differentiate is like being a Mormon has so many like rules and boundaries to it, and spirituality is just breaking out of those rules and boundaries and still believing in that like there's this, you know, bigger creation or bigger energy or feeling um, that is hard to explain, but it's like without those boundaries, without the rules, without the, you know, um, yeah, box.
yeah,
so so yeah, so it's almost in a way like asking questions and really digging deeper is like an even better way to connect with spirit and like understand who you are and what you want and everything. So
for
yeah,
sure. Like
yeah,
going on, I just found like the coolest thing about spirituality is that it like evolves with you.
yeah,
And I was trying to get at is like I was evolving and this teaching wasn't evolving with me,
yeah,
and let it go
yeah,
because it didn't fit me anymore. But spirituality changes as you do because it is you. So yeah.
yeah. I agree. Yeah, and I would say like it's not like religion. I always tell people who are religious, I like totally understand where they're coming from, and it's like we're all doing the same thing. It's just some people have a different perspective of it, and like some perspective is like through the church, through the rule, these rules specific like outlines. And then some have like this through their intuition and through like digging deep into like more. So it's like we're all looking at the same thing. We're
Yeah.
just separating it into all these little things and like putting names and labels on it. It's all to the same thing. So like it's just silly that like make it so exclusive or like, you know, it's just
It
it's
is funny.
how do you do that and like make it like, oh, I'm this and you're not that. Like it's just we're
Or like
all trying to figure it out.
yes, like that's
Yeah.
the is that was like actually one of the first things I realized. I was like, wait, this is all the same. So like what makes this one the most true? Because the claim in the church I was in was this is the one true restored gospel on the earth. It is the truest one. And they all say that. So I was like, okay, well then what if like everybody is like just trying to be right and then there is no right? And
Yeah.
that's
They're all right in some way, possibly, but it's not. You can't confine it to like these boundaries and these
yeah,
rules, like certain like human society structure. It's just, I think it's more than that. You can't, we can't translate it into something that we, yeah, can
yeah.
make like rules and all that.
Mm,
I agree.
yep.
So, what do you think? Like talking about that, what do you think the world needs more of to kind of understand there's more to spirituality and there's more to digging deep and finding who you are, and that it's not just names and labels, it's asking questions, it's finding who you are and really digging deep. And yeah, how do you think what do you think the world needs more of for people to feel comfortable doing that?
Mm. I think that there should like what we need more of is more freedom in a way and more freedom to explore. And a lot of these like boxes or like lack of freedom I'm like kind of getting at comes from this like structure we feel like we have to follow when really it's not like serving everyone. And the like for example the whole like okay, so I do this step and this step in life and then this step and then this step, and there's not really room in there for like, oh well, what if I believe this now, and like what if I want to go there and do that and become this person. All right, that's fun. Now I'm gonna go try become this person and live this way. And I feel like in the practice of becoming what you feel most inspired to be in that moment in your life, that is like where you learn a lot about who you are as a spiritual being, because you know that you're limitless and you can kind of just have fun with life. And I feel like really what I'm trying to also get at is like we need more fun. It's not so serious, because I just feel like everyone takes everything so seriously, and it's almost funny. Like we just like think that this isn't a game when it kind of is, and I think we could just have more fun.
Yeah, I agree. It's so what I've been realizing lately, I feel like all the structures and people trying to like fit into these labels and boxes, it's just like to make life seem something more digestible for them to understand when life is so unpredictable and not digestible. It's so big and vast and confusing. So people get scared and want to like put it into some kind of label to understand it. But as I've learned more about spirituality, like I've seen that, like I feel like religion and structure like that is very like masculine energy, very like people trying to like,
Yeah.
you know, put it into a formula so it's like, oh, predictable, easy. But like the world is not like that. We're more like the earth is more feminine energy and more a flow and more following your intuition and following. That's why I'm like so much about my compass, because like in a
Mm-hmm.
world of chaos that you don't understand, tuning back into your intuition and your compass and like your feminine flow and like what feels right is always gonna like eventually show you what you need, you know? And I just think that people need to tune in more to like their intuition, like what feels right for them,
Yeah.
instead of following like other structures and following other people, what other people say. Like tune into what feels right for you. Um,
Yeah.
needs to be a lot
Almost.
more, you know?
Yeah.
Right?
It sounds like you're saying, which I really agree with, like we need more feminine, like divine feminine in
Yeah.
a healed way. And like what you were talking about with the masculine, and like we've been living in a world run by the wounded masculine, which is why like all of these organizations are totally like controlling and serious and like dominating, and all run by men. Like yeah, the church was founded by a man who, yeah, I don't need to get into that, but he was a man. And I feel like if we were all more in tune with ourselves and like lived our divine feminine, and like you're saying, the earth, she is a feminine energy. And it's interesting because you notice how the earth has been harmed because of the way that we're functioning from a wounded masculine. And the reason the feminine has been suppressed is because the masculine is wounded, because they feel the need to take control and overpower because of how insecure they feel. Not specifically men, but like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is
And
out of
all,
balance.
yeah. Yeah.
And that's what's happening right now is like people are starting to like tune into their feminine, their divine feminine, and in a way that is like their spirituality. Because I see like the feminine and masculine as like the ego and the spirit, and they work together.
Work together.
Been so like cut off from our spiritual self, from our infinite selves.
Yeah.
That's also a result of wounded masculine. So the two, like as they come together, it's gonna be a beautiful thing. And I feel like right now we're kind of just like working on. It's cool how like the woman, the powerful like energy of the woman is the one that is like helping everyone heal, and the earth herself is like healing, I hope. And I feel like the more we come into tune with ourselves, like the more in harmony we live with the earth and her like cycle. Because I just like always wondered why are we trying to work against something that is so powerful and so beautiful, the earth, and just like it just isn't supposed to be that way. So
No,
yes.
yeah. Earth, like the Earth ecosystem, like has a certain flow and like wave to it that humans just like feel like they need to control or need to understand, you know. But it's like
Masculine.
all of that, you'll figure it out. Like it's like letting go of that. And I know like myself too. Like I struggle with like OCD. So like if I,
Yes.
certain things I can't control, like it's frustrating, and humans will get angry and they want to like control it,
Mhm.
but it's
Yeah.
like go and being like, no, I'm not, I can't control it. Like I just am gonna flow with it. But it's so hard, and I'm trying to learn this every day. And like I know it's really hard for humanity to, but it's essential. Like this balance is essential for like humanity to thrive and for like us to understand the earth more. But yeah,
Too, like what it does also come down to, simply put, is like fear or love. And control is very fear-based, because I notice my OCD acts up when I'm feeling extra anxious and like I am out of control of situations, and I just start like having to like deep clean something because I feel out of control and I'm afraid I am,
exactly. Yeah,
which is also an illusion. Like there is no such thing. It is really scary to just like let go and trust, and I think that's something
so
that
hard.
to
It's so
learn.
yeah. And that's what the compass is. Like that's what your intuition is. And that's what this like greater power is. Like let go and trust this like greater compass power. Just like let it flow.
Like
Um
learn to trust ourselves, because especially growing up in a high demand religion, it's like you learn actually to like put off the natural man, which is basically just like your human self. Like it's bad, all bad. So I learned to like suppress, in a way, like my own thoughts and my intuition if it didn't line up with what I was taught. And that was really hard, because I was learning that like if I had a thought or an intuition come to me, I had to question, is this Satan or is this like actually me? Because they would tell you like Satan's so deceitful, he'll like try to get you in any way, like you have to like put off your natural man, put off yourself, and just like listen to like us, the teachings of Jesus Christ, and like all of that. So I feel like learning to trust myself has been like the biggest like challenge, and also like exciting thing to like make breakthroughs in, because I find that like when I do choose to trust myself, it always works out. Like I have more capability than I ever thought once I like liberated myself from that whole thing. So yeah, I think that's something we all are here to develop, is trusting ourselves and our inner compass.
yeah, I agree. Exactly. Yep. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's that easy. Um I guess so in a world of such like hate and anger and control and structure, how do you keep yourself motivated and inspired to continue sharing your gifts and this purpose with the world and continuing to show up as um, your highest version of yourself? How do you keep waking up every day and being like, I got this, like I'm fighting this structure, like I'm gonna stay in flow, when sometimes it's really hard to do.
Well, it does kind of tie into just like trust, and like also how like what you focus on grows. I personally, in the reality I'm living in, I see a whole lot of love. I see a lot of
Yeah,
beauty, and I
right?
see the world changing, and I love to watch that. I just went back to the mainland, like my hometown where I grew up, very, very much just like matrixy, if you want to call it that. I hate saying that because everybody's valid in where they're at in the world, but to me it feels very strange there. But I went back, and like they had this like health food restaurant that everybody was eating at, and I was talking to my mom about like meditation, and like these things that I thought would never be like normal to people are like becoming more the norm, because I started learning about that stuff like when it was still very like woo woo and hippie,
Yeah,
not like even before the lockdown, because I used to like kind of do my own like little research and studies, like and follow people that lived in Hawaii when I was like in high school, and I was, yeah, anyways. But the way I keep motivated is just like trusting that what I choose to see I will see more of, and it'll continue to expand as I am part of the expansion of that which I choose to see. And I always choose to see as much love as I can, and I catch myself like seeing hate or fear and I understand that there is an importance to have like the balance, but I see like the beauty of expansion and of learning in those hardships, and how everything that is happening is in a way a cleansing and is all necessary. And I just choose to trust that those things are happening for a reason, and to trust that if there's anything I can do, I can always tune into myself and do whatever it is me as the soul came here to do in that moment, in whatever scenario I find myself in. Because we don't really understand like the subtlety of our actions and our like energies, because they are so overlooked. Our like the way we show up to a conversation can dramatically affect something way down the line, like the butterfly effect.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I
Yeah.
was like my friend, and she was like saying how she feels like there's, or I've even like felt this myself, like there's some big purpose I need to fulfill, like I'm not really like putting out there like living it. And I was like, well, what is like the gift you feel you have? And it's somewhere along the lines of feeling like people can open up to her, and she like kind of gives people the space to feel loved. And I'm like, well, you've been living your purpose all along, and you don't understand how one conversation can really, like where they actually feel they can open up, can trigger some sort of like awakening in someone. Because I've totally been there on both sides of it. Like a conversation can be very productive and very powerful, and for some reason that's just like something we don't really like look into as the divine, the wounded masculine we kind of function in. So yeah, that's my
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I do like these interviews, because it's like I want to create that safe space where people can open up and really just like learn and grow from each other and be vulnerable and yeah, understand that we're all just humans trying to figure this out. Like it's not so complicated.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, what you're saying, to go back to what you're saying, like I totally agree. I think the lockdown and COVID, it was like we were at like an all-time like kind of hate and issues all in the world. Everything was like so fiery, and then it like had this pause where we just all had to like stay inside and be alone and just like reflect and like think like, wow, the world is a shit show. Like, why is this happening? And like we had this whole time of just kind of isolation, and like I really think that during that isolation, a lot of people kind of woke up. A lot of people were like, huh, like I don't want to feel this way anymore. Like maybe I can do something else to help me. And it's cool because like there's commercials now about like mindset and meditation that you see in like 3 years before, you know? It's like
yeah, it
it's
happens so fast.
yeah, the consciousness is definitely shifting to open up to different things and new things. So
And that is like so exciting to me, because like now people like see the way that like stillness, the like that is like a divine feminine aspect, how like powerful that is, like
yeah,
more than action and
yeah,
productivity and like doing stuff. Like if you are simply reflecting and aligning with what feels good and what doesn't, like you can get so much more, like not done, but like you progress so much quicker.
yeah,
You're no
yeah.
longer
That's
resist.
what I realized too. Yeah, like patience is key. Like that's what like is my motivation and my inspiration now. Like it's just that patience to be like it's gonna work out like in divine timing, and like have that patience. It's like yeah, is definitely key for it. That's awesome though. I love it. Um, and then my last question is when you're feeling in like a rut, or if you're feeling um, like you can't get in touch with yourself and you're kind of like lost, how do you kind of tune back into that, um, into like positivity with yourself?
Yeah, I love that question, because I feel like I recently like ran into my answer for that, like prior to this. And I realized like it is so hard to go from like having all the answers to everything, and then like not at all. But like I when I first like left my religion, I was like, okay, so what are the things I still know that are for sure? And I knew like gratitude is healing and like love everyone. But like how do you get out of a rut with like those like arbitrary like ideas when you're like not doing well? And I found the other thing, and that is that you can always like choose to level up or like work on yourself and do these like things that excite you to expand. And like for me, I just got like I was in this rut and I was just not feeling it, and I was like kind of distracted and lost. And then I just decided that I just need to write down everything I feel like inspired to do. Like write it all down. And all my goals, anything from like, oh, I wish I could run this long, to like I want to have this whole like art experience thing. Like anything. And I just wrote it all down and I was like, okay, what is like the most exciting to me now? And I just circled a few things and like put categories on them, and then like started putting up post-it notes and like revisited a book I used to like really read that helped me a lot, which is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Because like I feel like my spirituality and my relationship to it changes a lot, but like something that never changes is how exciting it is to work on yourself and to become stronger and learn more and just like get stronger. I don't know. Like it's just cool to me. So that is like the one thing I like feel like I'll always be able to rely on, and like go back to like, okay, what am I not doing because I don't think I can, or what am I not doing because I'm feeling mentally weak or like uninspired, and I'm just gonna like take the steps I need to do to like feel stronger mentally and in any way that I feel I want to be. And I don't know. It's just like this. It almost feels the same as like when you give your room a makeover, or like if you're ever playing like a video game and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go edit my character. Yeah, and it's just like, okay, fun, like a whole new thing, like, but it's really just you choosing to expand, and that's like a huge reason I feel like we're here, is like expanding and taking the things in front of us and just like um alchemizing and growing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. You said writing it down because so yeah, I definitely, when I'm feeling in a rut, like I'll write it down or I'll journal it out or I'll read a new perspective or I'll change my environment, or I'll meditate and be like, okay, what is this stuck thing right now? And recently we did a dream board. I have my dream board right here that I made. And like that's like one of the best things when I'm in like a rut and I'm like, why am I? I'm not inspired, I'm lazy, what do I need right now? And I either write down or I'll put pictures and post it up in a dream board, and like to see what reality I want to create and see what is my compass telling me that I need in my intuition, because sometimes it can be foggy, and like to clear it up is like a change in perspective and like physically seeing it in front of you and like writing it out, so and aligning back with like what you need right now,
Yeah,
and what will make you grow.
true.
So yes, and yeah, I love doing dream boards,
Like
and
one thing about that is I found like, because it can be hard sometimes when you're like super in a rut to even like figure out what you feel inspired by, I would just like go out and do something really hard and scary, like like just
yeah,
something that really gets my adrenaline going. I don't know, like if you're scared to go like down a bigger hill, like skiing. I remember one season I was like living in Utah and I was like just feeling in a rut, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna ski today and I'm gonna go like on this harder level I usually don't do. And I just felt like after that like so much more alive, and I was like, oh yeah, I can do things, like yeah, I'm like strong, like I yeah, okay, oh, I want to create this in my life now. And then you like kind of get back into it. Same with like, oh, I that's why I started like doing like a hike every week, because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do something that's challenging that makes me feel like, wow, I really just did that. That was cool. And like remind yourself like with your physical being, like what you're capable of. Something about like connecting to your body in that way just like really helps you like wake up out of it. You're like, yes, I can do things.
Yeah, physical like adventures, traveling, changing your perspective. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
jump off
it's all
a
like,
cliff parachute.
yeah, it's all like an ebb and flow because like sometimes you can be like, oh, I'm having no creativity right now, and then like the next day you're like, whoa, I'm so creative, and I don't know where it came out of. Like, it's just so it's like a flow, and you just gotta kind of be patient with it. But yeah, and even like I was thinking, even maybe like an inspirational movie, or like I'll look up sometimes on YouTube an inspirational meditation and like just do it, and then after I'm like, whoa, I'm in a totally different mindset now, you know. So yeah, but you got to be patient with yourself and allow yourself to have those ruts to like kind of pull yourself out and be like,
Oh yeah, because you learn a lot in those. Like
yeah,
I've learned so much in my like lowest lows
yeah,
because you see all of what you don't want, and
yeah,
then you want,
yeah,
and it's kind of a cool like slingshot motion. It's like you're getting pulled back to launch forward,
yeah.
and you kind of get to bring like all this knowledge you go and get when you get pulled back and like take it forward, and it's really fun actually. Like when I start going to a rut, I'm like, oh hell yeah, this is a good sign. Something good is coming after this.
Yeah, now I'm like that. I used to be like, why? And then I'm like, wait, this is a good thing. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
another hill that you're going over, and then you're like, oh yay, and then you go down.
yeah.
Again.
Then it's then
Roller.
it goes up. That's what
Yeah.
my
Um. Yeah. You get it. You're amazing, and I get so stoked on these interviews. I don't know why, but I just like get so stoked. I'm like buzzing with it right now.
no, I love it. Like I said, like, conversations can be really powerful, and I'm really grateful to like have had the space to be interviewed. It was funny how like we were doing vision boards, and you're like, you like literally chose the same picture, and it was like I want to like interview people, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was gonna put that on there because I want to be interviewed, and
Yeah.
then like
Like,
quickly this came about. So cool. So
yeah.
yeah,
We're manifesting into our reality right now as we speak.
as
Um,
we
And also something else that we've been manifesting into our reality is we've been doing classes together.
yes,
So we've been doing like meditation, yoga classes with Bella too, Saturdays at Haliba Park. So if any of you guys want to join, Casey's amazing at sound healing and singing and everything in between. And we do some Kundalini yoga, some breath work, and really just have great conversations there. So if you guys want to join for that as well, you're more than welcome. Saturdays, just message me and look at either of our Instagrams, and I'll post when we're doing it. But usually it's like Saturdays at 10. So
yes,
come.
yes. Hopefully this Saturday, but
Yeah,
if not,
this Saturday we should do it at 10.
yeah,
Yeah.
ready.
All right. Well, much love to you and your inspiration to me, and and keep being your amazing self.
Thank you for having me and for being inspired with me. And yeah, so fun.
See you Saturday.
Bye.
Aloha.